single step equations. We just finished with single step equations, so multiple step equations are our next step. And the last problem I just showed you with the x on the bottom is technically a multiple step equation. I had to move the x and then divide by 10. So, multiple step equations, they just take more time. Okay? They take many forms. Sometimes you'll see them where they look like this. It's really long, especially since I'm writing so big. It's stuff you've already done before. Take one side of your equation, right? Combine like terms. I've got 3x and minus 2x, and then I've got a 4. So my x's are going to combine. 3x minus 2x is going to give me x, or 1x, right? I only have the 4, so I bring it down. And now I just have to isolate my x. Okay? I perform the opposite operation. And I'm left with x equals 6. Okay? Multiple step equation. Don't let the fact that the equation is longer or there's more numbers in it scare you. Okay? That's fine. Just take what you know and apply it to your equation. What you know should be enough to solve it, regardless of how long it is or how complicated it looks. Math is a pyramid. The things you learn down here will always build up to the things above it. Okay? Almost never will they throw you a problem and say, solve this, when you can't actually solve it. Alright? Typically, if there's a problem you can't actually solve, it will say, simplify the problem. Alright? Do the best you can. Give it your best shot. If you run into trouble, as always, leave a comment below. My students, you have multiple ways to contact me. Get hold of me. Alright? Let's continue this. Told you we would also be moving letters. And get more practice in that. Sometimes, when you see these multiple steps equations, you will have a variable on both sides. For instance, sometimes you'll have 6x equals 4 minus 2x. I have x's on both sides. I need to isolate my x. How do I do it? Well, you need to get all your x's on one side and then work to isolate your x. Okay? In this case, I have only x's on this side. So this works out pretty well. I can move my x's over here and not have to move anything else to the other side. Right? So let's work on moving my x's. I'm going to move my 2x. Whenever you move x's, you also move the number in front of it. Until you separate those numbers, the number from the x, through division, they are stuck. They are one unit. Okay? So this has minus 2x. So I do the opposite. Plus 2x. Plus 2x. Okay? 2 minus 2 is always 0, so I'm going to lay left with 4 on this side. 6 plus 2 is 8. X. Okay? They're stuck together. That number and that variable, they are one piece until you divide. All I'm left with now is variables on one side, numbers on the other. So now I'm going to isolate that x from that 8. 8 times x, I'm going to divide by 8. Divide by 8. I'm left with 8, or x equals 4 over 8. Simplify your fraction, always. X equals 1/2. Okay? So again, when you move your x's, or your y's, or your z's, or whatever variable you have, you always move the number with it as well. If it's just an x by itself, then move just the x. Okay? And sometimes you'll see these with x's and numbers on both sides. For instance, sometimes you'll see 6 plus 2x equals 3x minus 4. So now you have to decide which side do I want my x's on? Do you want them on this side? Do you want them on this side? Your answer literally doesn't matter. You'll come out with the same answer either way. Okay? What matters is the type of numbers you're going to be working with. Alright? Once you get some practice at this, you will recognize, well, if I move this to this side, I'm going to have a negative x. I can work with negatives. I don't like working with negatives. I don't have to. If I move my 6 to this side, however, I'm going to have to subtract it. I'm still going to have a negative over here, but my x number won't be negative. Right? So really, 6 one way, half a dozen the other, they're the same thing, right? So, pick one, go with it. I don't like working with negative x's, so I'm going to go this way. Minus 2x, minus 2x. It's going to give me 1x, right? It'll give me 0, so it'll give me 6 equals x minus 4. Now I have to move my 4, right? It's a minus 4, so I'm going to add 4. We'll be left with an x on that side and a 10 on that side. Done. X equals 10. Let's work it the other way, just so I can show you guys that it doesn't really matter. Alright? So I'm working it the other way. I have to subtract 3x minus 3x. That's going to give me a negative x, right? Or a negative 1x. They almost never write the 1s on these things, okay? So I'm going to have, you either put 6 minus x or 6 plus negative x, okay? I'm going to have minus x up there for now. Bring this down, I have equals negative 4. Do not get rid of your minus sign. Minus signs are negatives if you move the front, okay? So it is a negative 4. I have a plus 6 over here, so I need to move it. Minus 6, minus 6. So I'm going to give you a negative x equals negative 4 minus 6. Remember your negative rules, right? I'm at the negative 4 on the number line. I'm going to go to the left. 6 more spaces is going to be a bigger number, but it's still going to be a negative, okay? Negative 10. Notice I have a negative x. Do I care what a negative x equals? I don't care what a negative x equals. I want to know what a negative, or what an x equals, right? Not a negative x. So I have to get rid of this negative. Alright? I just told you a little while ago we typically ignore the 1s, right? So we know there's an invisible 1 there. So I can divide by a negative 1 without changing my number. It's still going to be an x, right? Anything divided by 1 is that number. In this case, I want to get rid of the negative. So negative 1 keeps my number the same, but it gets rid of that negative. Okay? Both sides. So I'm going to have x equals 10. Okay? Same answers. At the end of this one, I had to divide by a negative 1, which I didn't have to do on the other one. So, like I said, you end up with the same number either way. Okay? Pick which side you want to work on, or work on that side. If you're worried that you got the wrong answer, do it again and work on the other side. Okay? It takes more time, but you'll double check your answers that way. Alright? This is multi-step equations. Our next video is going to be on, it's going to be a little video on word problems, translating word problems from words to equations, which you do a lot in algebra. Okay? If you're not comfortable with it, practice, practice, practice.